Well, greetings and welcome back to everyone to our webinar series. I'm Gary Furlong. With me is Josh Gordon. We are the co-authors of Strategic Negotiation, Building Organizational Excellence, and we lead, support, and teach negotiation across North America and beyond. Josh?
Yeah, today I'm super excited, Gary. We are discussing a very crucial transition for organizations, which is moving from that point of ad hockery, which we've discussed before, to developing structured, repeatable negotiation processes that really put you in a place of consistently enhancing your outcomes, which is ultimately what we're all trying to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. As we said in the previous webinar, many organizations approach negotiations as unique events, meaning they invent the process for each one on the fly. They create what we call an ad hoc approach, which basically means it's reactive and doesn't have consistent processes that'll deliver consistent quality. So that's what we want to change here.
Yeah, we're trying to take that randomness out of it and really raise the floor, but also raise the ceiling quite substantially too. And at the end of the day, for consistent long-term success, the negotiation process needs to be consistent and repeatable. And this allows weaknesses to be identified, allows you to onboard new folk into your organization without having the precipitous drop-off that might come relying so much on individual variance.
Yeah, so let's briefly look at a quick example of ad hockery we've used before. Imagine a small tech company negotiating various supplier contracts. Each team member negotiates from their own perspective. They do it differently. There's no standardization. As a result, the results vary widely. Some get more favorable terms on cost, others get more flexibility or more guaranteed supply, and these don't align or dovetail, and results in inconsistent outcomes and a lot of missed opportunities.
Absolutely. And once we've done that initial assessment and realized that we are in a place of ad hockery, it's really important that the organization builds simple, clear, consistent, and repeatable processes for each negotiation to follow. And with this consistent approach, weak areas can be quickly identified and addressed. And again, we start to raise the floor and the ceiling, which is what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, take a simple example. Take cooking, for example. Lots of people think, well, it can't be too hard. I'll just start to cook. And they cook something and it tastes awful. And they don't even remember what order they did things or what ingredients they put in that might have contributed to that. So the net result of this is that it doesn't taste good. Now, if you then look at a recipe and actually follow the recipe, ingredients, measurements, timing, you end up with something that tastes pretty darn good. And you can do it again next week if you like the dish.
Yeah, I mean, your cooking example, maybe every now and then you luck your way into a really good meal, but try repeating it the next time, it's going to come out awful. And so negotiation is really the same. If we want to have the clear, repeated, and measured elements, we have to put those in place first. And then that structure allows for us to continuously improve and have reliable outcomes. So you're not just fingers crossed that you get a good dinner that night or fingers crossed that you have a good negotiation.
Absolutely. So let's discuss some of the repeatable elements, Josh, that can be introduced that create repeatable competence in negotiations.
First step, of course, is to establish a standardized framework. And we prescribe some of that basic structure, but it is very much about making it specific to your organization. So this includes templates for contracts, checklists for preparation, guidelines for communication around negotiation. An example of this would be a retail chain that could develop a comprehensive negotiation guide that all managers use when dealing with suppliers. And this ensures a degree of consistency in terms and conditions.
Yeah. And in addition to that, Josh, consistent training. So negotiators get the same skill sets and the same concepts, and more importantly, the tangible processes. A global pharmaceutical company, for example, might conduct quarterly training workshops focused on negotiation strategies, cultural sensitivities if they operate in that environment when dealing with international partners. And then based on that, the partners will know what they're dealing with as will the global pharmaceutical company, and they'll end up with building on consistent results over time.
Yeah, great. And a third step that we talk about is using data and metrics to track negotiation outcomes. That we need that information. By analyzing past negotiations, organizations can identify these patterns and areas for improvement. And for instance, here, you could imagine a manufacturing firm that could use a negotiation management system to track key metrics such as cost savings, delivery times, and contract compliance. That really gives you key information to know where to hone in and to where to stress in your negotiations as well.
Yeah. Fourth, establish a feedback loop. That's absolutely critical. So after each negotiation, conduct a debrief to discuss what went well, what could be improved, what data was missing, where did it seem to stall, any of those key learnings. And that continuous learning process helps refine the negotiation approach over time. It's not unusual that when a negotiation is completed, because negotiation tends to be high stress for people, is that people go, oh my God, we've signed the contract. I don't have to think about that anymore for a year or 2 years. And that's exactly throwing away the learnings that could build the consistency in the negotiation. A consulting firm, for example, might hold post-negotiation reviews consistently to capture insights and lessons learned from each client engagement.
Great. And really to recap here, we're trying to move from ad hockery to this more repeatable place. The key to building this repeatable negotiation competence lies in implementing clear, structured, and measurable actions.
Yeah. So we encourage you to reflect on your current negotiation practices. How clear and structured are they? Consider adopting some of the repeatable elements we've discussed today. And the NAT that we discussed in last webinar, for example, can help guide you into more specific and clear areas. But reflect on that and look for areas that could be improved by becoming more consistent.
Great. And for those of you who are looking for more insights around this and frameworks on aligning your negotiation efforts with your organizational goals, take a peek at our book, Strategic Negotiation, Building Organizational Excellence. It has deep dive into all these concepts we're talking about in our webinars.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in the next webinar where we will talk about the third level of the NAT, adaptive flexibility, how to go from repeatable, consistent, and competent approaches and practices into becoming more flexible, but tailored very specifically to each negotiation. And follow us on LinkedIn, follow the book on LinkedIn, where there's regular content, ideas, and areas to focus on a regular basis.